Tonight on Nova Legends podcast, I have one of the most winning coaches in Virginia basketball history, Coach Freddie Priester, who I believe is at over 700 wins now, Coach,
Um,
who's
800 and plus.
800. How old are you?
Uh,
Eight,
I'm just a young whippersnapper.
800. Oh my God, 800 wins. Coach and his Cougars had an unbelievable start to the season, undefeated for a long time, but they ended up winning the Concord District Championship, and they have a quarterfinal date with Robinson. And Robinson, the team, I think this is a rematch of 2 years ago in the game
Correct.
where they're willing to move the game back for your player who had a recital. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Well, I'm always happy to talk to you.
Yeah, well, if you're talking to me, most likely you guys are in the mix, right? So
Well, yeah, and that's what we aim for every year to try and be in the mix.
yeah. Well, Coach, I mentioned the winning streak to start the season. Um, when you think about that, most of the games that you won, you should have won. You're better than every team you played, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. That's not the way life
Right,
works.
right.
Um, how do you think that's the best way to begin a season? Do you want to win every game, or does that in some ways do the kids stop listening to you when it becomes a little bit too easy?
Well, here's the thing. Uh, first of all, most of our schedule is picked in conjunction with the boys' schedule, and we he and I we'll get together and we put up a list and then they all decide. We have a few openings. A lot of schools pick a lot of openings. I'm pretty much just okay for them to just schedule us to with what we've got, and we have some opportunities. One of the things in our current situation at Oakton in particular is that we have mostly all non-basketball players. We have mostly kids whose primary sport is something else besides basketball.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah, yeah. It's not the same setting that we have had in previous years. But on our basketball team this year, we probably have one kid that basketball is their top sport.
Oh, that's
Okay,
very rare.
and maybe two. But most of the time, we have kids that are playing multiple sports, so we have very little. We don't have enough people to play in a fall league. We do a couple of isolated events. So the season at the beginning, it's really important for us to sort of just get our stuff together. And so as a result, I'm not looking to run out and schedule a bunch of private schools and stuff like that because, first of all, private schools got their own way of doing things and it doesn't have anything to do with what we do. And so the thing is that we take what the county gives us and then we go from there, and we're not trying to get ourselves into a situation where we're starting off real slow. So, it's a combination of those things. And we had some good wins in there. We beat a WNL team that made it to the regional. The Yorktown team that we wound up playing again in the first round of regionals. They've got a good bit of talent, and just took Devon a bit to get them going, and we caught them early. Uh, something that happens that kind of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, some of your early season stuff gets in. We played a pretty darn good South County team, and we beat them by 20.
Oh,
So, I talked to Rudy. He said, "Yeah, you guys opened our eyes a bit about what we needed to do." And he's a good friend of mine, and so he was very kind to say that. But the thing is, so we had 4 or 5 good games, and then we're trying to develop players as well. And if you're having bunches of close games, it makes it difficult to get some of those players in. And we got good playing time for some of our people on the bench, and they still need more work. So we didn't wind up being super deep, but at least we were getting them opportunities to play and be a part of what we were trying to accomplish, and at the very least, making them better equipped to deal with practice and be helpful to the team in that role.
yeah. Well, Coach, since your players are multi-sport athletes, and most of the boys programs, the kids are specialists, as you know, and they have spring league, they have AAU, then they have summer leagues, and they have fall leagues. The coaches know what they have when the season starts. So, what were your expectations coming in, since you may have athletes that don't play all the time? Did you know you were going to be good this year?
Well, I knew I have good players. And I have good athletes. You know, we're small, we're super small, but we have good players, and I don't want you to think that they don't care about basketball because they do, you know. But it's a season long process of building and preparing and working, and I think one of my strengths as a coach is game preparation, and these kids are smart and they listen and they give me great effort, and I'm some people say I get more out of them than other people might, but I don't care about that. What I mean is they will do what I'm asking them to do, and it takes a season to build that. And that's if you look at our season, the we had to play because of quirks in the schedule. We had to play Chantilly almost back to back, and we lost to them 1-6. And then right at the end of the season, we had to play Centerville almost one back to back. You know, like there was like weather in there, and I think it was back to back, and we lost to them by 10-10. Well, I'm not just not paying attention there, and so then we were able to come back in playoffs and beat both of those teams. And it's because of the kids learn, we make adjustments, we keep working. And I mean that's always been a hallmark, I think, of our team. And I was pretty happy to see for Mike O'Brien how his team came back because he kept working the whole season. And we actually did that same thing in 2018. We finished actually last. It's the only losing season we've ever had in the Concord district, and then won three straight to win the championship. And I think that it speaks to our style. It speaks to the way I try to coach, and that is, we're just going to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And I know other coaches are out there working hard too, and other kids are out there working hard. So I'm not saying we're special. It's just that that's just the way we're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you've coached some of the greatest players in Northern Region history, including Jasmine Thomas. You've had some great teams. Record speaks for itself. Where does this team of multi-sport athletes, where they, you don't have to compare, but can they compete with some of your best teams, or is it a different time nowadays?
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. People talk all the time about, is, you know, was Magic better than Elgin Baylor? Was Isaiah Thomas better than Oscar Robertson? Or, all those things like that. And everything has to be within its proper context. And certainly, a couple of factors that come into it is that for girls basketball, and you may not know this, participation in girls basketball is down 20% over the last uh, 18 years.
That because of lacrosse? Is that because of lacrosse?
Well, it's women's sports participation is up, but basketball participation is way down because of volleyball, lacrosse, soccer. Um, I can tell you that from my perspective, and hey, sports is hard, but I think basketball is the hardest. I think you're in the middle of the floor with five people watching you. You have to be able to do every single skill, you know, and when you make a mistake, the whole world knows, and it's very challenging. And I think I give kids great credit for taking on that responsibility. So that's just sort of some background information, but truthfully, there are not as many good players as there were. I think you can just look around and see that some better athletes are gravitating to other sports, and basketball has changed. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that when we'd be playing, and it'd be two or three Division I players on my team against two or three Division I players on another team, and two or three Division I players on a bunch of them. West Springfield, Madison, all those different schools had great players. You just don't see that kind of depth of talent anymore. So it sort of changes the perspective. Um, I would say that I don't let our kids compete any less hard than the other kids did, and maybe they don't have all the same tools, but they have the tools that they have, and they're going to take them to the limit, and I'm going to encourage them to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Coach, my sister's team had five Division I players on it. They had Teresa Rouse, NC State, Debbie Young, UVA, my sister, George
Yep.
Washington, Kerry Kruzik, George Mason, and Kim Scala. He's Tennessee State.
Oh,
I mean,
I remember all those. And the thing is that we used to be a hotbed here for
oh,
them.
no doubt.
It's just, it has just changed. I mean, you're at least are familiar with the Vogues, and for
My
the
sister
all
was
the
a
years,
Vogue.
like, oh, yeah, your sister was a Vogue.
Mhm.
Because she played with
Yeah,
for
she played. Yeah,
North, yeah.
yeah,
And that was back in the beginning.
yeah,
And the thing is that I mean, every year I was blessed to have opportunity to often all the way up through probably 2015 or 16 had 8, 10, 12 Division One players on my team.
crazy.
You know, enter Nike, enter the sort of the trainer driven teams and things like that. Uh, maybe a dip in some of the levels of participation. And suddenly, no one's got those kind of people. Even the Nike teams have to really go far afield to try to get the players to field on their teams, and that's okay. I mean, I spent this morning. I started at like 8:15 this morning, coaching my little fifth grade B team, and then we had tryouts for about 60 high school kids, most of whom are freshmen and JV players. And then I had a 2 hour practice for my eighth grade team, and then I handed out uniforms and did all that, and then came back. And as I told you, had that other meeting before this one.
Yeah,
So it's all basketball all the time, and it's all good because. Um, the Vogues always had the approach to try to make high school basketball better, and at the same time provide for people starting with when your sister was playing, all those kids, 200 or 300 kids that I had the great honor of having a piece of their careers pass through me. I mean, so many kids that whenever things bump around, you know great coaches like Kirsten Stone, and she played for me, and
yeah,
Amanda Baker came to my camp for 3 or 4 years,
yeah,
and all those little connections and stuff, and I feel great pride in having that connection with those, and when they do well, even sometimes at my own expense, I have to feel a little bit of something positive come out of that, and then now fast forward to now, and it was interesting. We were going through the all district meeting for the or all region meeting, I think it was one of those two. And even though maybe we're not talking about Division One kids that are going to Duke like Zuki Blanding or Mara Cunningham
yeah,
to Vanderbilt or things like that, there was still 3 or 4 kids from 3 or 4 different schools on some of those teams that passed through my door, played on one of my teams, came to one of my camps, did something like that. So I feel so blessed, regardless of what people might assess the talent level to be, to have the opportunity to work with these kids.
yeah. Well, Coach, thanks for all you've done and do. I bet some of the girls you've coached are grandmothers now. That's what I think. But
Well,
let's.
no, actually, I can tell you for a fact there is one, and I'm not going to tell you who it is.
I know. Because I know Julie. Her a lot of the people that her counterparts and her colleagues are there. So I can imagine you there. But let's get back to this year's team. So I caught the Langley game. So I got a sense of some of your starters. Bailey Zimmerman, she's a senior forward. Jocelyn Kimball, she's a sophomore guard forward swing. Brooke Chang, she's a junior guard. Sophia Toole, junior guard. Melissa Ali, guard
Yes.
forward senior. Those are the five I got. Did I get most of? Tell us a little bit about your team.
Okay, well, they're a great group. We, as I said at the beginning of the year, we were trying to build up our bench a little bit, but they're just a fairly inexperienced group, and weren't able to get a lot of playing time for them. But you know, well, I have to start with Sophie Toole. You didn't see her at her best. She had a 100-degree temperature during
Oh,
that
sorry to hear
game,
that.
and actually played the Chantilly game the night before with that same, not putting her in any danger, but not feeling 100%, couldn't really breathe, had to take her in and out a whole lot of times, and it showed. It showed, and not to take anything away from Langley or anything like that because they played great. But we were not at our best. 100%. And so, but she's first team all district, first team all region. She scored 1,000th point last week as a junior. Um, but she is a big time softball player, and that's her where she has
Oh,
put. So all fall when people are playing fall league and stuff, she's traveling around the country playing softball. Now I have colleges that are interested in her, and I at some point, if she makes any decision, I can get her some interest pretty quick. So it's not, but she's 5'6". She's a tremendous athlete. Again, you didn't really get a chance to see that because she was so unwell. But she's a really great player for us. Brooke Chang is a primarily basketball player, and she's had a really good year and really has even picked it up more of late. And Sophie averages about 17 a game, and Brooke averages about 15 a game.
wow.
So they are two main scorers, and they sort of lead the offensive charge. And then we have Jocelyn Kinlaw, who I think you're going to hear more about as time goes on.
Mhm.
She actually hit the two winning free throws the night before
Wow, that's awesome.
at the end of the game against Chantilly, 1 second to go.
And if you lose, you go home. It's over.
Right, exactly. And she dropped those two free throws, and um, you know she had a couple shots that didn't drop in the first quarter that might have made a difference, but we didn't. Langley shot. I looked it up just so I could say, they were 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. They were then 7 for 8 in the first half from the 3-point line and 9 for 11 for the game. That's pretty tough business.
Coach Amanda says she couldn't believe it's like one of those days where everything goes your way. She was
Absolutely. I mean, they hit shots. I mean, I hoped it would be an unfamiliar gym and they wouldn't shoot. But I mean, I will go back and tell you straight up, at least in that first half, I think 7 of the 8 shots we're not huge jump and contest shot. That's not the way we play. But the defender was there. They had to shoot over somebody,
Mhm.
and so props to them for being able to hit those shots. It was disconcerting at the time, but you have to look at it and say, hey, they hit the shots, and so but anyway, just to finish up with my team, then I got a couple other thoughts that I could share.
Melissa and Bailey. Melissa
Yeah.
Alley and
All right.
Bailey.
Well, see, Melissa has just been one of those kids. She's played a bunch of sports. She played golf. Well, let me go back to Jocelyn for a minute because she's a four-sport athlete. She
Wow.
plays volleyball. She runs track, and in the summertime she swims. And she tries to fit in a little basketball. Basketball is her primary interest, but it's not her full-time job like it is for some of these kids. And so, I think she's going to continue to develop, and she's getting some interest as well. Okay, on to Melissa, and Melissa has just come on so strong. She actually has 30 plus 3-pointers or something this year, and
Wow.
so she
Yeah.
can shoot it. But she doesn't demand the ball, and she will take the shot when she has it. And but she's done a great job defensively. She can be a tenacious defender, and she's done a great job on a number of really good players. Um, you know, uh, like say Anya was on fire, so that was tough, and it certainly was not a reflection because Melissa was working hard. And then Bailey. Here's an interesting story about Bailey. Now this is our third basketball team to qualify for states because the last 3 years, I know you have great memory for this stuff. We finished third in the district, then won the district tournament,
Mhm.
then got all the way to the regional final and qualified for state. And so that's our modus operandi apparently. But at any rate, so she's a part of those 3 teams. She won a state championship in lacrosse, went to another state tournament in lacrosse, went to 2 state tournaments in field hockey. She's a 3-sport athlete,
That's
and she's
amazing.
been to now seven state tournaments. She's mostly a defender, but we've been working hard on her because to work on her shot. She dropped 4 3-pointers against Chantilly, and her numbers offensively have improved all year long, and that's been a big push in what we are trying to do to help her be the best contributor to our overall program as she could be. And she's worked really hard at that, and she's not particularly an offensive minded kid. She plays defense in field hockey, defense in lacrosse, and she's happy to play defense and rebound here. But, I said, Bailey, you got to shoot. And so she is, and so she's picking up there. So that's our group, and they fit together real well, and they're all they're close on and off the floor, and I couldn't be prouder of how they've gone through the season, and they've done what I've asked them to do, and we've developed. We want to go, like this all the way up. As basketball is a tournament game, and being at your best at the end is important. And so we maybe make some missteps along the way, but by the end, we've been able with this particular group to be good at the end.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I would think having competitive kids that are good in a lot of sports will help you rebound from maybe a game that wasn't their best game of the year. Because all your losses have all been close games. This is the only one that you got away from you. So I would think bouncing back would be easier with these kind of athletes. When you think about Robinson, TJ Dade, Georgia Simonson is an amazing player, but
Sure.
why every year they lose everybody? And I talked to Chris Jolly. He's like, "Yeah, Robinson's going to have it tough this year. They lost everyone. Every year they're back here, and they have kids we never heard of, and they're playing great." What is the secret of Robinson, and what is the challenge that Robinson brings?
Well, it is a giant school.
Yeah, no, no doubt about
It is
that.
a giant
No doubt
school,
about that.
and they do have their middle school right on grounds.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
TJ may be keeping his cards a little close to his vest. He's a good friend. I've known him for a long, long time,
Yeah.
and so
He's a great
I'm
guy.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy for him. You know, they beat us up pretty good last time. They one thing they have is they have big kids. They have big kids, and we haven't had a big kid for a while. Okay, there were times in the middle of our, I mean, through from I don't know 2004 to 2017. I mean, you know, we've won in 31 years of the Concord district. We've won 21 district championships, and
That's
we've been
unbelievable.
we've been in the finals another 7 times. So 28 times out of 31 we were in the finals and
Mhm.
won 21 of them. So I mean, but we used to have kids like Brooke Parker, Megan Scott, Danielle Leaford. Uh, uh, Sierra Cooper, a whole bunch of these kids were like 5'10", 5'11" guard
Even
types.
the Coyers were
And the
5'10", weren't
Warriors were good size, 5'8". Yeah, and they're obviously fantastic players.
they? Yeah.
And a lot of players that people maybe haven't heard of. I mean, the year after Jasmine graduated, we went to the state final and lost in the state final, and we were undefeated going into that game. After Jasmine Thomas graduated.
That's crazy.
Okay. So it was and the player on that team that was a go-to player was uh, Aaron McGartland, who's on my
Yeah,
staff right now, a
absolutely.
5'8" post player who was first team All-State.
I
And we had
remember.
a very young Zora Stevenson at
Mhm.
that point. And we've had great players over the years, but bigger players. But like right now, we're 5'6", 5'6", 5'6", 5'6", and 5'8".
Well, do you put Georgia in the league as some of the better post players you've seen in Northern Virginia?
I think I love watching her play.
I
She's
do
great,
too.
and I think she's the pivot queen because she can pivot in about 9 different directions before she gets her shot off. I
She's
call her the
very
pivot.
unique. Her game is very unique.
Exactly, and plus she's got the 3-point shot, and so she does a lot of great things out there, and I think she's fun to watch unless you're playing her, you know, and so I think you can't necessarily judge because uh, and say, well, she's going to Radford and all these other kids were going to ACC and all these other places like that, because that whole world has changed so radically. I mean, one of my former players who was a great player, Amaka Gugwa, is the coach at UVA. You're wearing your UVA hat, you know.
Oh,
They beat North Carolina today for the second time this year.
they did? Oh, I didn't hear
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's doing a great job down there. And when she came from Missouri State, where she was rookie coach of the year in the NCAA, and then came to UVA, I said, well, I said, well, let me talk to me about this, and what's going on? She said, well, we're not recruiting any freshmen, any high school kids. Because all they have to do, and it's not just her, it's everybody.
Yeah.
They just go to the portal and they say, I'll take that one, that one, that one, and that one.
Yeah.
And then maybe when they came in, they had a couple kids that didn't fit in, and they said, okay, no problem, and they all went someplace else and played. And so freshmen in or seniors in high school and subsequently freshmen in college, there's there's not a lot out there for them.
Yeah.
And
She's going to be successful. There's no doubt about it.
no, I know. I should. She should do well there, and uh, hard to tell where she turn up at the end.
Yeah.
That
I think
that's
I think her mother is from Southwest Virginia as well. So I think
okay. Well, that's a good connection. I didn't know that.
yeah, I think she's
Yeah,
from South.
I've met her mom, but I
Oh,
didn't.
great woman. Elaine's
Well, it's a
awesome.
good family. Her dad's cool too.
Yeah. Well, coach, I got Carlos Poindexter waiting for me, but look, let's do this again, and maybe if you guys get past Robinson, let's preview your semifinal later on this week.
Okay, well, just a real quick story.
Yeah,
I just tell you, because this is important to me.
yeah,
My kids went from being at the very top of their situation on one night, and then 24 hours later, they were disappointed in how they played. And when we talked about it, I just wanted to tell them. I said, that's kind of the way life works. Ask your parents sometime what it's like to get up in the morning and be feeling good, and by middle afternoon they're drowning. Because something happened and this had happened and that happened. And I told you I had a conversation with Rudy Caulfield, and I don't know if you know him, but
yeah,
very well. But they lost that buzzer beater to West Potomac, and of course you want the kids, if they're going to feel good when you win, then the flip side of that is feeling not so good when you don't win. But understanding that the deal is to move on. He said we had three buzzer beaters this year. We won two of them, and I told the kids, I said, yes, feel bad, but you know what? We have to regroup and move on. And we were both talking about it, and we were just saying, welcome to life.
yeah.
And that's really what the real big picture of sports is all about. And
And as
it's
long as you're still
one
alive,
of
you
the
have a
things.
chance. As long as you're still alive, you have a chance.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That Bill Parcells line. When they asked him when he's coaching the Jets, and they said, "Well, Bill, you don't have a chance in this NFL championship game." And he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know who doesn't have a chance?" And he named some other teams. And you know why? Because they're not playing.
That's right.
As long as you're playing, you
Yeah.
got a chance.
Well,
And
coach,
so,
you've been to so many state tournaments. I think people don't realize how special it is. These
yeah,
girls are going to a state tournament, and they're not going far away from home, but like they used to. But they're in a state tournament, they have a shot. So it's
right.
great.
Well, I mean, and since they broke it down, I mean, we were the last team with the Coyers that won what a lot of people call the real state championship.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is I texted the kids yesterday, and I just said, just remember this. We feel bad that we didn't get it done last night. But the fact is, there's 48 other teams that aren't even going to be playing Tuesday, and we will be.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for this, and
Hey,
I appreciate so much that you keep this going.
yeah, I'm trying. It's a busy time for me. I end up moving out to Leesburg, so I can't get around town as easy. What time is your game tomorrow night?
7:30. The boys are playing at 5:30.
That's very interesting.
I
Yeah.
think is it Woodson against Westfield? I'm not even 100
Yeah.
percent sure.
Yeah. I'm between gigs, because I went to Robinson. So, but
Yeah.
coach, I appreciate the comment. Thanks for all you do. 800. I can't believe 800 wins. I mean, that's all-time lead,
Hey,
right?
well, it's up there. Coach Gibson at Springfield has a few more than me, but we're the top two in the state.
Is that right? How about boys? Anyone over
Uh,
800?
no one that you would know actually the top number in the state. I can tell you this is a guy who passed. His name is
Bill Littlepage.
No, Paul Hatcher, I
Oh
think.
yeah, from Robert E.
Yeah,
Lee.
he has 897. So you
Eight
know,
ninety seven.
so I don't know whether I got. I don't know how many more years I got left, but I'm still enjoying it, and I don't know what else to do with my time, and it still feels fun. So
Tony
I'll stay at it.
Tony Bentley was bragging the other day that he had 500, and I'm like, Fred Priest was over 700. I didn't realize it was 800. I didn't realize it was over 800. So, well, Coach, tell me right, Carlos is waiting for me. Thanks for doing that.
Okay,
Well,
well, tell Carlos I said hey, and good
I,
luck
sh-
to him.
I sure will. We'll talk later on, Coach.
Okay, take care.
Thanks for all you do.